The rain had been falling for hours, turning the quiet streets into rivers of reflection. People hurried past, heads down, too busy to notice anything beyond their own worries. But on that cold evening, one small moment, almost invisible to everyone else, was about to change everything. Because sometimes, the smallest act of kindness doesn't just help one person, it creates a ripple that no one sees coming. Before we begin, take a second to support the channel. If stories like this touch your heart, make sure to subscribe, like, and drop a comment below. You're watching Kindness Story Hub, where real emotions and powerful stories come to life. Now, let's begin. Mark Ellis had never planned to stop that night. He was tired, running late, and honestly, life hadn't been kind to him lately. His small auto repair shop in a quiet Midwestern town was barely staying afloat. Bills were piling up, and customers were fewer than ever. As he drove home through the rain, all he wanted was a hot meal and a few hours of silence. But then he saw her. An elderly woman stood at the bus stop, soaked to the bone. Her thin coat clung to her shoulders, offering no protection against the cold wind. The bus schedule sign flickered dimly above her, and it was clear, no bus was coming anytime soon. Mark hesitated. He told himself, "Keep driving. Someone else will help. You've got your own problems." But something about her, maybe the way she shivered, or the quiet patience in her eyes, made it impossible for him to ignore. He slowed down. Then stopped. Rolling down his window, he called out, "Ma'am, are you okay?" The woman turned, surprised. "Oh. I'm fine," she said softly, though her trembling hand said otherwise. "Where are you headed?" Mark asked. "Just a few miles down Maple Street," she replied. "But the bus? I think I missed it." "Get in," he said. "I'll give you a ride." She hesitated at first, as anyone would. But something in his voice felt safe. Slowly, she stepped into the car. As the heater warmed the space, she sighed in relief. "Thank you, you have no idea how much this means." Mark gave a small smile. "Honestly, I almost didn't stop." She looked at him, her eyes kind but knowing. "But you did. That's what matters." Her name was Margaret. During the short drive, she shared that she lived alone. Her husband had passed years ago, and her children had moved far away. She didn't like asking for help, she said. She preferred to manage on her own. Mark nodded. He understood that feeling more than he wanted to admit. When they reached her small, modest house, the rain had started to ease. "Thank you again," Margaret said, reaching into her purse. "Please, let me give you something." Mark shook his head quickly. "No, no. It's nothing." She paused, then smiled gently. "Then at least let me say this, kindness has a way of finding its way back." Mark chuckled softly. "I'll remember that." And with that, he drove away, thinking it was just a small good deed on a long, difficult day. He had no idea what was coming. The next morning started like any other. Mark opened his shop early, expecting another slow day. But as he pulled up, he noticed something strange. There was a line. 3 cars were parked outside, before he had even opened. Confused, he unlocked the door. Within minutes, customers began walking in. "Are you Mark?" one man asked. "Yeah," he replied cautiously. I heard you're the guy who helped Mrs. Margaret last night, the man said. She's my neighbor. Told me you're honest. Said you didn't even take a dime. Mark blinked. I just gave her a ride. The man smiled. That's enough for me. I need my brakes checked. Before Mark could process it, another customer stepped forward. Then another. Word had spread. By noon, the shop was busier than it had been in months. Mark worked non-stop, barely having time to think. But every now and then, he'd hear the same thing. Margaret told me about you. She said you're a good man. I trust her judgment. By the end of the day, Mark was exhausted, but something felt different. Hope. But it didn't stop there. Over the next few days, the town seemed to buzz with the story. What started as a simple ride in the rain had turned into something much bigger. Local residents began stopping by, not just for repairs, but to meet the men behind the story. Some brought coffee. Others brought homemade food. One woman even said, "This town needs more people like you." Mark felt overwhelmed. He wasn't used to attention. He didn't see himself as special. In his mind, he had just done what anyone should do. But deep down, he knew the truth. Not everyone stops. A week later, something even more unexpected happened. A local newspaper ran a small feature titled, "Kindness on Maple Street, One Man's Simple Act Inspires a Town." There was a picture of Mark standing outside his shop, looking slightly awkward but smiling. The article told the story of that rainy night, of Margaret, and of how one small act had sparked a wave of positivity. Mark read it twice, shaking his head in disbelief. That evening, as he was closing up, he saw a familiar figure walking toward him. Margaret. This time, she wasn't alone. A small group of people followed behind her, neighbors, friends, even a few strangers. Mark stepped outside, confused. Margaret. What's going on? She smiled warmly. We wanted to thank you, properly. One of the neighbors stepped forward, holding an envelope. This is from all of us, he said. A small contribution to help your shop. Mark's eyes widened. I can't accept this. Margaret gently placed her hand on his arm. It's not charity. It's gratitude. He looked around at the faces, kind, sincere, hopeful. In that moment, something shifted inside him. He realized that kindness isn't just about giving. It's about connection. Mark accepted the envelope, but more importantly, he accepted something he had been missing for a long time. Community. From that day on, his shop became more than just a business. It became a place where people gathered, shared stories, and helped one another. And Margaret. She became a regular visitor. Sometimes she'd bring cookies. Other times, she'd just sit and chat. But every time she walked in, she carried that same quiet warmth, the kind that had changed everything. Months passed, and life slowly became easier for Mark. Not perfect. Not without challenges. But better. All because of one decision. One moment. One act of kindness in the rain. Here's the thing. We often think kindness has to be something big. Something dramatic. Something extraordinary. But the truth is, it's usually the smallest actions that matter most. A ride. A kind word. A moment of noticing someone who feels invisible. You never know how far it will go. You never know whose life it might change. Or how it might come back to you in ways you never expected. So the next time you see someone in need, don't wait for someone else to step in. Be the reason something good begins. Because somewhere out there, a story is waiting to be told. And it might start with you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to Kindness Story Hub, like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments. Let's keep spreading kindness, one small act at a time.